Welcome back, everyone. So I'm back from a little hiatus that I was taking pre-Guilty Gear Strive, because I needed a bit of a break. If my voice sounds a little hoarse, it's because I'm getting over allergies, but if the sound of the video sounds much better, it is thanks to this brand new professional grade recording mic that I got, and this was a gift from, please forgive me for mispronouncing this, Sridhar from the Trading Post in Michigan. They said that they'd watched a lot of my content. I helped them learn to play the game, and they very politely said that my video quality and the sound quality had gone down quite a bit since I switched to the headset, and they offered me this new recording mic. So, thank you very much. This is a shout out to you guys. You're beyond generous, and if you're in Michigan, I don't know where in Michigan the Trading Post is, but hey, Sridhar, if you're watching this, please let everyone know where the Trading Post is in Michigan so they can come see you and support the store. So, once again, thank you very much for this brand new recording mic, and without further ado, I wanted to record a video about something people had been asking about. A lot of people have been asking about retro content and how you get started in retro. And as someone who started when retro was currently standard, I thought, yeah, we could do a bit of a mini dive into that. So how do you get started in retro? Well, first off, what is retro? Retro is a format that has every set that was ever printed by Jasco Games through UVS Games today. So if you're on UVS Ultra, you see in this set box here, if you scroll all the way down to Red Horizon, which is, there we go, Red Horizon, right above 6-point promos. Now there are some 5 and 6-point promos that are still retro legal, but this is the easiest way to look at your sets. So starting from Red Horizon all the way up to currently Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is your retro window. And that's a lot. And a lot of these sets are hard to come by because they're not in print anymore. So how does one get started with retro? Well, I personally would go to rochesterccg.com because this is my number one shop that I go to for singles and the like. You can go to Universus Singles, Universus Retro Singles, and this drop down shows you every set that is retro legal, and you can purchase singles from those sets. Now that can be kind of daunting. So I would go into Universus Sealed Product, and you can go into Universus Starter Decks, and there's no way to sort this by like time, so you can just kind of scroll down. I don't think there's any on the first page because it's all the Challenger series. But if we scroll down here, you can start with here, the Cowboy Bebop CCG 2-player starter deck. So this is from the old Cowboy Bebop booster set back in like 2018, I want to say, maybe? Something like that. But this is actually pretty cool. That's not a zoomed in picture. Because you have 2 ready-to-play starter decks, 60 cards, right out the box. You get Spike Spiegel, and you get Vicious. So 2 ready-to-play playable starter decks for $15, so you can see right here. And also, each of these decks will also come with 1 random ultra rare from the Cowboy Bebop set. Now that ultra rare is not guaranteed playable in any of your decks, but it is kind of a good start. And that's just for $15. Now you can go down to the Mortal Kombat CCG 2-player starter, where you get the Sub-Zero and Scorpion decks, very similar, except these are turbo decks. This is back when they were experimenting with different formats, and you had the turbo format, which had, instead of a 60 plus deck size, you had 40 deck size, exactly 40. And that's what these are. These are 40 card decks. And again, they will have 1 ultra rare per deck from the Mortal Kombat set. So that's pretty cool. But if you did want to play these in like a tournament, you would have to add more cards to them. Of course, you could do that by buying singles from the Mortal Kombat 10 MKX set, which is somewhere around here. MK01, Mortal Kombat. So this is the same set for the Scorpion and Sub-Zero decks, so you could click this and look for singles from that set as well. If you wanted to kind of dip your toe in a little deeper, you can go to sealed product, sealed boxes, and most of these are going to be standard. But you have the Capcom League kit, which is $124.99. However, I know that seems like a lot, but back in the day we had some Capcom sets for Mega Man. We had 2 different Mega Man sets plus 2 tins, which had like promos and stuff, and then 2 different Darkstalkers sets with starter decks and tins. So what they ended up doing was making something called Capcom Platinum, which was kind of the best of all of those different sets. So 4 boosters, 4 decks, 4 promo sets, and they put the best of into Capcom Platinum, which was a booster set that randomized all of these cards, and they were all foil. The Capcom League kit was every single card that didn't make it into the Platinum got a foil treatment in the League kit, and you got these cool little dividers for the different symbols as well. I don't remember how many cards were in the League kit. I have a League kit over in my retro corner, but I'm not gonna go get that right now because it's kind of half buried. So for $125, you're still getting, I think it's about 200 cards, maybe? It's a lot. It is a lot of cards that you get for the League kit. So honestly, not too bad. But you can get these tins for $30 or $40. For Sea Viper and Jury, you get a promo card and I believe like 5 or 6 booster packs. I'm not entirely sure. But if you scroll down, we can go to older sets like King of Fighters, Ruler of Time. This is a very, very old set. As you can see, we had Red Horizon, Tides of Vengeance, King of Fighters 13, King of Fighters, Rulers of Time. So their 4th booster set. 1, 2, 3, 4. Their 4th booster set ever printed from the Jasco era. $100 for 1 box. Now, that may seem pretty, like, a lot for 1 box, considering a lot of our boxes are like 80. But these boxes, these sets, I think were much smaller. So let's actually go up to Rulers of Time. 112 cards, as opposed to, say, TMNT, which is 192. So, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive because it's older and out of print. However, the number of cards in this set is much smaller. So you actually get more multiples, except for like rares and ultra rares, obviously. So that's pretty cool. But you also have some other cards, like Mortal Kombat was a huge set, and it's 115 because you just can't find those anywhere anymore. Battle for Power for Mega Man, $60, not bad. Some My Hero Academia. These are cases, that's why they're so expensive. So that's 6 for $400. But you can also get, where are they? Like the Mega Man and Proto Man tins. You can get Proto Man, which comes with a deck, plus, I believe, 5 promo cards or 4 promo cards, something like that, for $40. You can get an original Red Horizon, their first set that they ever put out, full booster box for $82. Red Horizon Blood Omen, full box for $60. My favorite, 7th Cross, full box for $60. And the box topper for these is you get an alternate art version of each of the you get a version of each of the characters that's a monster version. And some of them, I think it's like 1 in 6 boxes, have chibi alternate arts, which are pretty cool and pretty hard to come by. Street Fighter you can get for 60. Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers you can get for 70. The Capcom Platinum booster box, an entire box where every card in the set is foil, for 60. Yu Yu Hakusho, 60. Indines is 100. But for this booster display, the World of Indines set is all starter decks. You can kind of see how you have the 2 boxes in that little display. It's 5 different decks. Each one comes with 2 characters, and each display comes with 2 copies of each deck. So if you buy the World of Indines starter display for $100, you're almost guaranteeing a full set of everything in the entire set, which is kind of cool. I kind of dig that. It's kind of like the Challenger series of old, but it's kind of neat. So if you wanted to just drop $60, $70, you could get a full booster box, and the best place to get that is here, rochesterccg.com. Now, one of the more tricky things, and if you watched my Cowboy Bebop box opening from when the Redemption Store had booster boxes on there, you'll notice that I did not get a character in every pack. They started doing that in the UVS Games era, not in the Jasco era. So what I would do, if I were you, starting in Retro, I would go to UVS Ultra, click Retro, click Character, and search. Now there are 697 retro legal characters, 14 pages of them. I would go through here and find a character I like. So let's say, let's just pick someone. Let's pick someone not over here. Let's say Eva. Let's say Eva strikes your fancy. So you see Eva and you think these abilities is totally what I'm down for. Well, you can see that she is from the original Red Horizon set. So what I would do is I'd go to rochesterccg.com. I would search her name. Okay, Eva is not a lot of... Okay. So then I would go to Retro Singles. Red Horizon. And usually for filters, I do sort by price, so the most expensive ones come up first. So here, you can see like Natali from Red Horizon, $4. I don't know where Eva is. Here's Eva. You can get an Eva for 97 cents. So that's easy to add to stock. And then, since you know what set she's in, you can go to sealed boxes. We know it was on page 2. And you can get a Red Horizon booster box for $82. So for roughly $83, you can get the character you want and a full booster box to try to get as much of that character's support as possible, just in case it's not available online. Or you can go to, as I said, sealed product for, whoops, double clicked a little too fast. Sealed product, starter decks. And then you can find some cool 2-player starter decks for $15. Or you can find some single-player starter decks like J. Talbane or Felicia. Felicia is out of stock, sadly. But the J. Talbane and Felicia decks are how some of my locals got into retro. They bought the deck, and that deck had all of that character's support in it. I don't believe any of their support was in the Darkstalkers Warriors of Night booster set that this went alongside, so they didn't have to worry about getting any anything in the set just to play with the character. These were ready to play out the box. and it was just really easy for them to get in. And like I said, if you have some friends and you just want to play some 2-player stuff, the 2-player turbo box for Street Fighter with Ryu and Chun-Li, or with Mortal Kombat for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Cowboy Bebop has Spike and Vicious, or the original My Hero Academia 2-player turbo for Midoriya and Bakugo from My Hero Set 1, which is technically retro now, as are the starter decks for Endeavor and Eraserhead. Those are also technically retro products right now. So you could get these, and for $15, you and your friend could get started with Spike and Vicious, 2 completely ready-to-play character decks based all around that character. You don't have to worry about anything from the sets proper. Or you could go to like the 2-player starter for Mortal Kombat and say, okay, I know I need some extra cards to boost these decks up. So you can go to the Mortal Kombat singles. Again, I always just sort by price, so the most expensive stuff comes out first. So if you are on a budget, you can say, oh, the most expensive card in the set's $15. That's not bad. And you can just go by the sets, the symbols on the characters that you chose. So if you're Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you will obviously see their symbols when you look them up on Ultra. So we can go to, scroll up, Mortal Kombat. Where is it? Mortal Kombat characters. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are down here. So you can see Scorpion has Death, Fire, and Evil. Sub-Zero has Order, Void, and Water. The symbols do look different because we got a symbol revamp when UVS Games took over. So you can see, while they look different on the card, you can see actually above, like where it says difficulty 6 over here. You still can't see my cursor, but it has the newer symbols. So you can, if that's how you know those symbols, you can figure it out that way. So you can say, I'm looking for like Scorpion, Death, Evil, and Fire cards. So you can just look through here and be like, oh, this Pit card has Death and Fire. Is Pit something I would want to use? And you can literally just go through it like that. So if you didn't want to just jump straight in with starter decks and get learning that way, you can just go through each of the retro sets. Just you can either go through them set by set, or you can just go retro character search. And then for the older stuff, just start at the 14, and you can just scroll through, find a character you like, figure out what set that character's from. Now, not all sets are available on Rochester CCG because there's just a lot of old sets that are not available. You can check sites like eBay, but I would still be very careful because I've done business with Sean at Rochester CCG a lot over the years, so I can vouch for him. He's good people. Rochester's good people. They're not going to try to scam you out of anything. But you know, maybe not everyone on eBay is either. I've had some good things with eBay and some bad times with eBay, so it just depends. I know Rochester will give you the best deals. A lot of the characters I've seen on eBay for like $10, I could find for like less than $5 on Rochester. But then again, some characters Rochester didn't have, you could find on eBay and for $10. So it just depends on what you're looking for and who, and how much you're willing to spend. But definitely, if you're interested in the retro formats, if you're going to like a regional where it's going to be a side event, go through the retro characters and just read them. Some of them are not that strong, especially some of the older ones, like the original Red Horizons. You'll notice that the power level starts really low, and that's not a bad thing. They were trying to be more beginner friendly with some of their newer characters. It didn't start ramping up until Cowboy Bebop really jumped the shark on the power level. And then it kind of just had its ups and downs from there. But some sets had interesting building gimmicks, like for King of Fighters. The King of Fighters, I believe all the King of Fighters sets had team mechanics. Well, not really mechanics, but like you'll see Athena, Sai, and Chin, who is banned. Let's say like Robert, Rio, and Takuma. You'll notice all three of these characters each share two of the same symbols, and you'll also find that they each share some sort of mechanic, or their support will share something in common that they want to do as a trio. These are Neomax characters. So like, let's talk about the King of Fighters Rulers of Time characters, Dio, Elizabeth, and Shen. They each share All in Death, and each of these characters has a mill-themed mechanic going on. So a lot of their support could work together. So you'll see, like, especially in the King of Fighters sets, which is what makes these really good starter sets, which is why a lot of them are sold out except for Ruler of Time. So you can, if you pull a character, even if you didn't pull all of the rest of that character's support, if you pulled their teammate's support, it could still help you out. So honestly, I think sets like that are really, really cool. And I would love to see some more team-based sets in the future, UVS Games, wink, because I think stuff like that could really help beginners starting out if they just find a character they happen to pull and they didn't pull all of that character's stuff, but they pulled some of that character's partner stuff. It could help kind of fill in the blanks and help teach effective deck building. Street Fighter is kind of where the end of the kind of very easy linear deck building, the lower profile deck building started. And then we got to the Cowboy Bebop where it really kind of jumped up in power level. I think because they only had 8 characters in the whole set, but the set was still bloody huge. It was like 145 cards, as opposed to like 80. And of course they had to stack every character with kits, so it was just a little bit of a jump, and then they kind of just ran with that power level from there. So really cool. So if you wanted to jump into it big splash, you could get a booster box, but I would recommend looking at the characters in those booster boxes first. So like if you were going to get a booster box of Mortal Kombat, I would suggest going to the Mortal Kombat set, looking at characters. If you're like, okay, I'm gonna spend the $115 on a booster box of Mortal Kombat, you could effectively buy at least one of every character from the set. So no matter what you pull, except for maybe Sub-Zero and Scorpion, because at that point just spend the extra $15 to get their double decks. But I think none of these characters are any more than 20 cents, maybe $1 if one of them was short printed. Except for maybe like Goro. Don't buy Goro because he's around in regular retro, but not in Rochester retro, which Rochester retro is Rochester CCG puts on the events, and they have a more fair and balanced retro version that they put on at their events. So if you wanted to go for just Rochester retro, you would see that we went from 17 to 16 characters because Goro is no longer among them. So just depending on which event you're going to, if they're playing regular retro or Rochester retro, that will be noted on the website for the tournament. But whatever, if you're buying a booster set, I would recommend buying one of every character if you can. Obviously, this is not going to be as efficient with some sets, especially some of the older King of Fighters sets where characters can be very expensive. I think Athena is like $200 because she was an ultra rare character. She was very strong, and it's a very short printed set. Or even characters like in Rulers of Time, some of them could be $20 to $30. So in that case, I would just get whatever characters you could get your hands on, or whatever characters you feel comfortable spending the money for. So that way, at least you have a character to play. Because, I tell you, out of a whole booster box of Cowboy Bebop, I think I pulled 7 characters out of a 24-pack box. So definitely before you go in buying boxes, make sure you pick up some characters along with them to guarantee that you have characters to play. Or, like I said, you could just go the starter deck route, getting a starter deck or a 2-player starter deck or the 2-player turbo decks, and you can start that way to at least get some of these newer mechanics under your belt, because some of them do have newer mechanics in them. They have desperation, some things have reversal, some things have multiple. If you get a booster box of 7th Cross, you have to worry about character stacking mechanics. And I will say that this is the set that kind of focused on the gauge mechanic and stacking different versions of your character. In order to get these duplicate characters, like you have Selinka with the 1 dot and then Selinka with the 2 dot, to get the 2 dot versions of each character in 7th Cross, you would have to buy a booster box, because you got a box topper pack, and the pack had 1 copy of every 2 dot in it for each of these characters. Now you could buy those just online as singles, because Tornaloose here wanted multiple copies of his 2 dot. And so did Remilus, so did Selinka. Whereas some of the others could deal with just 1, like Taisei. But these are also cards that you can just buy as singles. So like if we went to starter deck, retro singles, 7th Cross, sort by price. Can I just display character? No, that still doesn't work? Okay. What are we doing? Did I break something? I broke something, didn't I? Oh, no, because I'm still filtering by character. Show all. So we have the chibis, which are basically alternate art versions. I think 1 in every 6 boxes had the alternate art versions of the 2 dot characters in that box topper pack. So those will be more expensive because, you know, they're cute, because you can get chibi cards. I think the 1 dot characters that are chibis will all be out of stock because those were special promos. So you don't need to worry about chibis because those are all going to be really hard to come by. But if you didn't worry about chibis, but like Selinka 2, this is your one of the box topper things, $2. Dejanet 1, which is the in-pack character, $2. So you could get the characters for pretty cheap, even if you just needed some extras. Maybe not Eugenia, because that one's out of stock. But yeah, so that's kind of where I would go as for getting started in retro. I would look at the retro characters, find a character that I liked, see what set they were in, see if I could buy a booster box of that set and a single of that character from rochesterccg.com. And I think that's a really solid way to get started. And like I said, some of these booster sets are expensive. Some of them, you know, go up to $100, $120. But there are plenty in the $60 to $80 range that you could get started with if you were looking to start your collection. Of course, you could always just go through UVS Ultra and build a retro deck just looking at all of the cards and then trying to shop from there. But I know how daunting that can be for a new player. So this is just where I'm trying to get you to just dip your toe in. So if you're looking for the basic dip your toe, buy a starter deck. If you want a little bit more of a control of what you want to do, look through the characters, buy a character, and then maybe a booster box. Or if you just want an IP and you don't care what character you play from that IP, you can just whole hog go and buy a booster box. Or buy the booster box and 1 copy of every character available in that set, so that no matter what you pull, you have someone to play. And that's kind of a basic intro to how to jump into retro. And also, if you have questions about retro, feel free to reach out on this channel or any other content creators' channels or in the Discord. Anyone who plays retro, who enjoys it, will be oh so happy to help explain anything you have questions with. There are mechanics in retro that are not in standard anymore, such as multiple or gauge or reversal. I do have Hermit School of Universus videos detailing how those mechanics work, if you want to look those up. And it's kind of more of a Wild West, but it's so much fun to explore what all of these older cards can do in newer characters, and how some newer cards can bring life to older characters. And it's just really fun to just dive straight in and let the madness take over, like I do. As some people have seen, I have an entire retro corner retrofitted. Let's see if I can... I have a whole corner of all my retro boxes. So, it's well worth it, I think. It is so fun, and you get to play with a lot of different design styles and mechanics that you normally wouldn't get to. So if you're interested in retro, give it a whirl, and don't let the daunting mass of cards scare you off. Until next time, thank you to Shadar from the Trading Post for this amazing microphone, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.